Hey, this is the Hard Truth with Tony Schaefer, powered by 6 Hour Never Settle. I had a choice of what I carried in combat. I always carry the best. I recommend you carry the best today. Pulling out my trusty P365 for those who are watching and for listening. It's a P365. I'm just telling you, not showing you. And it's a great weapon. This is my the micro compact, a fantastic weapon. I've got the Wilson Combat grips on it. That's it's like a Legos. You can do different grip sizes, different style grips. You can get a metal grip. You can get, plastic. Do whatever you want. It's a great weapon. Highly, highly recommended. A lot of firepower available. Anyway, I carried 6 Hour in combat. I still carry 6 Hour. Yeah, check them out. We are on the America Out Loud podcast network, also on their radio network, and we're obviously available Saturdays and Sundays live, and then we do this and we're available at other venues. We are also sponsored by Swiss America. Call to get a free copy of their Secret War in Cash, a newsletter that is important to you and your family for financial security as we enter into the upcoming troubled financial and economic times. 800-289-2646. Again, that's 800-289-2646. Tell them Tony Schaefer sent you. And we are Project Sentinel, projectsentinel.com. On X, we are at Project PRJ_Sentinel. That's us. And here are past shows on thehardtruthwithtony.com. All the great content is there. And one last thing, Cherie Curry. We love Cherie. Cherie, the pioneer of female rock and roll, as part of the Runaways. She does our bumper and cover music. So Cherie, we love you big. Always great to have you as part of the show, even if you can't be here. And then, without further ado, how do you do? We're going to bring in Fran Ventura, the chairman of the committee that manages the National Veterans Parade, and his lovely wife, Diane Ventura. Diane is, I don't know what she does on the board, but she basically runs things. Fran can't like do anything. It's not as bad as Joe Biden and Jill, but I'm saying, Fran, thank God you have Diane, right?
Yes, we're not going to call her Dr. Diane.
Oh boy, you probably can at this point.
That's right. And then of course we are joined by the phenomenal and effervescent Chris Cordani.
Yes. He's letting me out of the cage this morning with this particular first half of the show.
That's right. Well, first half. So we're going to be talking today, for those who aren't familiar, and a lot of people probably aren't. So we're going to do an educational segment. We're going to be talking about the National Veterans Parade. The National Veterans Parade has essentially, it's new because it was never done before. And there's been other parades noting service and sacrifice, but never one just for veterans. So the first annual Veterans Parade was held last year. I was given the honor of being the first Grand Marshal, and I got to smoke a cigar and ride in a Jeep. So what's better than that, right? I mean, it was wonderful. So Fran, just tell us a little bit about your philosophy, and we're going to run a clip here in a second, but just kind of outline, as from your position, what you and Diane did and thought to get it going.
Well, and thanks for having us, Tony.
Sure.
It really started probably over 20 years ago as we worked in the parade business peripherally from our travel and tour business, but we helped produce the Veterans Parade in New York City, the one in Orlando, and we've done parades from Macy's to the parade in California, Tournament of Roses. So we always saw the military units in there, but it was always any parade for veterans had always been a localized, a regional parade, and there were never been a national parade. And when Diane and I had, we were comparing our family trees. Hers is much more in depth than mine, but from serving under George Washington all the way up to the Korean and Korean War, where our ancestors have served in almost every major conflict. And it's really just, we wanted to do it to honor them as well as, of course, all veterans. But there had never before been a national parade for our veterans, the men and women that have served. And, everyone who takes that solemn oath to defend and protect the Constitution we felt there was no other place to have it and to have it start than at the steps of the National Archives, as you know, our Constitution is. We worked long and hard for almost 2 years to work with the city of the District of Columbia. As you know, everyone knows it's a bureaucratic jungle out there, and we had 34 different agencies to work through this, and just to get the permit, let alone the funding and all the things that goes with it. So we started a foundation for transparency, the National Veterans Parade Foundation, and that way we were able to have an organization rather than just her and I doing it and getting a lot of volunteers. We're all volunteers,
right?
But it was important to us to establish this. And after this first year, the city has designated us as the 4th national parade that goes all the way to the 17th at the White House. So we'll be going on Constitution, our national parade route. So
well, Fran, on that point, I mean, first off, I appreciate personally and obviously from being involved last year, the hard work you and Diane did just to get the permits done. And secondly, I appreciate being part of the success you all were able to establish to get to the second parade and expand it. I think it's wonderful. And I'm sure that the rumors about Joe Biden coming out and joining in his pajamas is not true. I don't think it's going to happen, but I guess we'll see. Who knows? If it ends at the White House, who knows who's
starts at 11, so I think it might be a little early.
Yeah, hold on. If there's an ice cream truck, he's there.
Yeah, the ice cream sponsor.
Well, that would be another permit.
If it was up to him, it'd be Ben and Jerry's.
or Nutty Buddies. The Nutty Buddies are easier to hold.
You guys are Nutty Buddies. My God.
Well, and truth be told, just so that we could cover ourselves, we did put an informal invitation to the executive branch for participation.
That's
just
good.
So that when we do it in later years, we want to be able to say that we've invited both sides.
Well, no, I mean, I just came from a meeting here in Edenton. We were talking about including both sides. I think inclusion, being open to making sure that this is seen as a nonpartisan event is very important. I am 100% committed to that, as I think you are too. But obviously, at this point, look, DC is a Democrat city, but they're very much on board and they appreciate it. And I got to tell you, Fran, we're going to run a clip here in a second. Everybody got along famously. Mm-hmm. I mean, everybody there at the last one. I saw, other than a bunch of knuckleheads who were veterans for Palestine, crashing the parade, everything was smooth. That was the only glitch. And literally, that was it. That was the only glitch. And even that glitch was just kind of like, really? You guys are going to be that, you're going to be that level of disrespectful?
Here's one of my goals with this parade as a nation, and I've been involved with campaigns, politics. 2008, I think, is when I could say I put my first table and did voter registration at a farm show in Butler, Pennsylvania. And I've been active since. But every one of us as a nation, an American citizen, owe a debt of gratitude to every veteran that took the oath to protect our Constitution. We need to come together, we the people, because if there's one thing we can agree on is we owe a debt to every single veteran,
right?
Regardless of their background, regardless of their voting, their religious beliefs, their color, none of that matters. I think, Tony, you've served honorably. And, I've heard other military say, we all bleed the same color. And as a nation, this is one way we can heal, to just count our blessings, count our freedoms. And we don't have any of those without our veterans.
Right. And so it's really fitting that this week, at the time we're taping this, is the anniversary of Little Round Top. We are taping this on the 3rd, although we'll be running it after the 4th. And that's why we're honoring Diane and Fran for their service to the nation and via this parade. But we are, General Lawrence Joshua Chamberlain, Colonel Chamberlain at the time, was the hero, the colonel who led the defense of Little Round Top, and they just literally reopened Little Round Top. The Park Service had shut it down and refurbished it because it was a very popular location. They've got it all redone. But Lawrence Joshua Chamberlain, who was injured in combat, nearly dead twice. As a matter of fact, he got promoted to general because they thought he was going to die. It's like, oh, hey, let's promote him to general because he's about to die. And then he went ahead and lived. He famously then received at Appomattox. There's a book that actually is called The Last Full Measure that actually notes the surrender. Is written by Michael Shara, which kind of captures, and it's technically a novel, but I think it's very accurate. The man who received the surrender of Confederate troops at Appomattox was actually Lawrence Joshua Chamberlain, Major General Chamberlain. He was given that honor because he was seen even then as someone who would want to reconcile and stop the hate between the North and the South. And that's unpopular these days because apparently we're supposed to hate people in the South and restore statues. Anyway, I digress. But Chamberlain spent his entire life reconciling that issue, the last full measure of devotion. That term comes from the Gettysburg Address delivered by obviously President Lincoln in I think it was November of 1864, 3. Anyways, it was during the Civil War. I can't remember the exact date, but it was right after the Battle of Little Round Top. What was that, Chris?
I think it was 64. Yeah,
64. Yeah. So obviously, they're trying to wind the war up after that, but clearly, that's what we're trying to do here: is honor those who served, who did not necessarily, to your point, Fran. We did this in pre-interview. They did not necessarily give the last full measure of devotion. They gave a large measure of devotion to the nation. And that's something we're going to honor. So real quick, I'll let you talk more about that in a second. Chris, you want to run some of the B-roll and let the folks kind of do a little narration of it?
Of course. Let's put on this. It's on your website, by the way. Where can people find the website?
It would be National Veterans Parade.org. So veterans with an S. National Veterans Parade.org. And there's information. There's a short video about a little bit of last year's video of parade. And there's also for those who, whether it's a veteran service organization that would like to participate, there's a form there they can send to us to apply to be in the parade. We welcome all veteran units. There's veteran service groups, veterans organizations, of course, sponsors that serve the veteran community. You can log on and get more information. Plus, the parade guidelines are on there. So,
can people donate via the website too, Fran?
I'm sorry.
Can people donate?
Oh yeah, there's a donation link, of course. There's both a sponsorship information where our sponsors can go on and get their corporate message forward during the parade and to contribute, and also for small donors. This parade is driven by veterans. It's the Veterans Parade, and the majority of our donors are small donations of veterans. And some of the notes we've received are very, very, in the comment section, are very touching. Thank you for doing this. And then they go into a story about when they served and thanking us for doing it. So that's one of the things that I know Diane can comment on during the parade itself. The veterans that were in attendance that were thanking us. Thanks for doing this, and some of them were very emotional about it. And
yeah,
that's really what gets us going. And I think people are starting to realize, as they're feel that their freedoms may be under attack or threatened. They now we've hit a sweet spot. People are starting to want to realize how important the veterans have been to the freedoms that they now feel may be under attack. So.
Well, that's part of the critical thinking here, Fran, is that we need to make the space and time for the honor of those who served. And I'm happy to be part of your team running working to organize all of this. And I clearly, it was very important. We had great color guards. We had the Army's Fife and Drum Corps, which was great. So. Well, what are we seeing here, Fran? You can just talk about it.
That's the Coast Guard. There's the Buffalo Soldiers motorcycle group. They're a great group of people. Some marching bands, high school marching bands. Yeah, there's the Buffalo Soldiers. There's the American. Let's see what they're the American Legion Motorcycle Group. That's the Third Army Fife and Drum. That's the color guard. There's
Got Angie there.
On our link, Tony,
there we go.
Yeah.
We can't have a parade without high school marching bands, and we have some incredible high school marching bands across the nation, and they're at their peak in November because they've just marched from August till November through football seasons, Friday night lights, everything going on. So if any high school marching band would be interested in joining us in Washington, D.C. and showcasing their band and honoring our veterans, they can go to that link, nationalveteransparade.org, and they can put in an application to march in the parade. We offer a 2-day performance for high school marching bands coming into our great nation's capital. There's so many things to do there, and we can definitely showcase them on both the mall on Saturday with their performance, and we have a planned program going on Saturday, and then of course stepping off on Constitution Avenue on 7th and Constitution, right in front of the National Archives, where our Constitution is honored, and then they march right past the White House to the 17th Avenue.
Yeah. So I didn't get to do that as the Grand Marshal this last time, but this time, whoever does it gets to ride all the way down, and I think it's fantastic. And by the way, I mean, look, I was just happy to be on that lead vehicle behind the Fife and Drum Corps. I mean, it was amazing. I can't, and people were shouting at us because, they know who we are. So it was cool. And I can't tell you how grateful I am and humbled I was that you guys asked me to be the first Grand Marshal. So,
well, it was an incredible experience and overwhelming. Our first parade, I kept saying, this is our dress rehearsal. We are so thankful that the Mayor's Task Force Office and Homeland Security gave us that permit to do a trial run, literally, to be able to earn an additional permit. So we're really looking forward. We had, I think, 7,500 people was what the police and Homeland Security estimated was there. And this year, we're really looking forward to just having such a huge, overwhelming amount of people showing support, not only for our veterans, our nation's capital, but what a time to celebrate. And 5 days after an election we have coming up.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Because, remember, we were very concerned, and I'll just say it here. I think it was obvious if we didn't say it at the time. This was during the beginning of the pro-Hamas riots, if you recall, and they had just had one up in New York, and we were, there was all sorts of things going on relating to all these knuckleheads somehow believing that butchery is a justifiable expression of speech on behalf of Hamas. I'll never understand that, but obviously we had no incidents, which we were grateful for, and obviously, like you guys said, you had worked closely with the Washington police, the Washington Metropolitan Police, very important teammates. A lot of other folks were there to lend a hand. And just in general, the military folks showing up were fantastic. It was a very, I think, significant honor to those who served. And by the way, a lot of folks still in uniform who were serving were there too. So it was great.
The safety that we all felt was overwhelming. And, we did see reminders of who was there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday before, and we were having regular phone calls leading up to it because the graffiti was still there on the Ben Franklin statue on Pennsylvania Avenue. And we prayerfully and confidently still had our parade. And I'm thankful for every volunteer and every person that showed up and supported it.
Yeah, and the Metro Police Department was outstanding. They have an auxiliary unit of retired officers, and almost all of them were veterans. And they went above and beyond to make sure that everybody was safe. I mean, we had 22 dump trucks blocking every intersection all the way up to Pennsylvania Avenue, the ring around it, and they took it personally that they didn't want anything to happen. So, you can say a lot about Washington, D.C., but the rank and file and the fire department and fire marshals, the first responders are populated by a large amount of veterans, as veterans are continuing to serve all through the country, when they come back.
We also have confidence with the Veterans Parade from years doing other parades.
Right.
And the Veterans Parade in New York City, if you know, we also have a great deal to do with the St. Patrick's Day Parade in New York
Right.
City. And there are people protesting constantly in
Everything.
Manhattan and Fifth Avenue.
Except
You know,
the
the
parade.
day they never protest is Veterans Day
Right.
in New
Yeah.
York.
It's politically not good because
Well,
veterans
it stays that way. Yeah.
So
So, yeah, no. So I think that's significant. I think that's where so much of the coin of the realm of being protected comes from, is the fact that everybody needs to focus on the honor, sacrifice, and service of those who have provided, their lives to protect the nation. And I think that's where you guys have, again, my hat's off to you, and I'm very happy to be supporting this. So let's walk through a few details of what to expect. So again, successful last year. By the way, that video is great. People ought to go check out the video, if nothing else, on the website. I've seen the draft of it. I've never seen the final version because we're all doing busy things. And we've talked about this, but this is the first time I've seen the video, and it looks great.
Yeah.
And
the music is perfect. It's perfect. Now, speaking of music, well, first of all, you saw during that video the reading that Tony LaBianca did.
About to bring it up, yeah.
Late Tony, yeah. He was tremendous. That reading of Just a Soldier was so moving, and we want to make it an annual reading for every opening ceremonies. I think it's really important for the context of it and the meaning of it, of why our veterans volunteered. And you could speak of it, Tony, that he was your dear friend.
Yeah. So, well, first off, the content of Just a Common Soldier, it's not all rainbows and unicorns.
No.
It's a very pointed speech talking about how often those who sacrifice greatly to protect the nation are mistreated, and they are. I mean, there's no doubt. And then so it actually calls out politicians pretty much by name. I mean, it says, look, there are those who are in the political class who, are given benefits which maybe aren't due. Just saying, And but the speech itself, the reading is something very important. It's very poignant, and I think it does capture the fact that this nation owes veterans so much that we need to really focus on that. And maybe that's why not many politicians showed up to it. I don't know. I hope that changes this coming year, because there's a lot of politicians. I was talking to Mike Walsh, Congressman Walsh, retired lieutenant colonel, special forces guy. He's, as a matter of fact, I did mention this to him, so I'm hoping maybe he'll come out. But I think those who are veterans and also members of Congress, I think they'd be willing to come out. But that's something I think we'll have to address. But back to Tony. For those who have been watching, paying attention, Tony LaBianca passed about 2 weeks ago. I was fortunate enough to go to his initial service at his ranch in Maryland. And Tony was an amazing man. He had a long, rich life. He made it to 87. God rest his soul. And I don't know if you guys knew this, Diane and Fran. That was his last public appearance for us.
Yeah.
That was
We're
it.
so thankful that he was able to be there with us.
Yeah. So we have that. I guess got a shiver from talking about him. So I think he's listening. I think he did amazing things. He was a patriot, someone who loved the nation, loved us. He was like a father to me. And he basically, once he was asked, I talked to Elise about this, like nothing would have stopped him. He felt it was so important to do this. And frankly, he wanted this to be his final event. This is his legacy. So I appreciate the fact that you all want to have his reading, or a reading of that, on honoring him as part of the ceremony permanently. And I'm 100% behind that.
Certainly. Yeah. Well, that opening ceremony should be great. We have an announcement we can now make that during the opening ceremonies, we're going to have a mini concert.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Country and Western star, quote unquote, but Scotty Hastings very appropriately He's a Purple Heart wounded veteran, Army veteran. He was shot 9 times.
Wow.
And given up for dead. His best friend passed right next to him.
Oh.
Dealt with that along with his rehabilitation. There's Scotty. He's going to perform at the opening ceremonies. He didn't pick up a guitar until 2020. His hand is partially disabled. He has to tape the pick to his hand.
Wow.
So he learned to play the guitar as part of his therapy that got him out of his PTSD funk, as it were. But he recorded a song in February called I'm America. And we talked to him in March and invited him to the parade. And he graciously accepted. We've been talking to him since. But since then, he has 3 top 30 country and Western singles on the charts. He's rocketed up. We were had a conference call, and just after that, he got a call from Gary Sinise,
Lieutenant Dan.
It was a live call, and Gary invited him to make his country and Western, his debut in Nashville at the Grand Ole Opry later this month, because this will be the 30th anniversary of Forrest Gump. So it's part of the name of the ceremony, but he's a great guy. His songs are everything from Why Me, why he came back, and he felt that his partner that didn't come back got off better than he did. All those things that go through a battle veteran. Veteran. So anyway, so he'll be there. It'll be really exciting to see that. We're going to have a full concert. Set up with the sound and everything facing the archives. So we invite veterans and friends and family, Scotty Hastings fans to come out, see him live, perform with his whole band. Right facing the steps of the archives. So the archives.
We'll have to take a break right now, but we'll come back and talk more about that because I think this is a fabulous, fabulous event, a fabulous ad. And I guess, I was really hoping that you would get Tony Blinken and he could play like Stairway to Heaven or something.
Maybe Beto O'Rourke can join the band too.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he and Jake Sullivan could have done like a 2-man duo, like dueling banjos based on what goes on at the White House. Just saying,
do some out again songs for going to the Middle East and going to Israel and lying.
Well, look, I mean, it was Pride Month, and if they want to do dueling banjos, who's to care, right? Who cares about that?
Everybody love.
Anyway, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with part 2 of The Hard Truth, Tony Schaefer. Stand by in 1 moment. Hey, this is still The Hard Truth with Tony Schaefer on the America Out Loud Talk Radio Network and on the podcast network as well. We're still powered by Sig Sauer, Never Settle. I had a choice of what I carried in combat. I recommend you have a choice to carry what you think is best. And in combat, I carry the best. You carry the best. The best is Sig Sauer, Never Settle. We're also sponsored by Swiss America. You need to check them out. Go and look at their Walking Liberty $50. That's a great offer. You need to have hard currency in your portfolio. What better than to have some silver dollars, $50, as something that's tangible and real if things go wrong. And if things don't go wrong, you still got currency. It's still there for you. 800-289-2646. Again, 800-289-2646. Ask about the Walking Liberty $50. Tell them Tony Schaefer sent you. We're Project Sentinel, projectsentinel.com. Check out all the great things we do, and to hear past shows on The Hard Truth with Tony. So we're back again with Diane Ventura, Fran Ventura of the National Veterans Parade Foundation. Hey, I think I'm on that board too, aren't I?
Yeah. You missed you were late for the last board meeting. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. Well, I thought I was told that it would be like Bill Gates type boards where we had G6s flying us around and stuff. I guess I was misinformed, right?
Well, maybe next year.
Maybe Klaus Schwab will fly you guys over.
Klaus Schwab. Yes. So we were talking a little bit about what to expect. So this last year, just to recap for the good folks in the audience, had a great event, great turnout, very positive, no negative issues. We had a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work, you guys especially, and you brought your decades of time, of investment, of human capital, of experience to bear on this, and you made it work. And God bless you, because you both talked about it took years to get this going, and it got hijacked one time, but we don't want to get into that. But you guys persevered, and it's here now, and it's going to become something that everybody can see and rely upon. Since Fran, you said this is one of 4 national parades the DC is approved now.
Yeah. There's the Memorial Day Parade, which we've talked about. We support for those that gave the last full measure, and of course the July 4th Parade, the Cherry Blossom Parade. A lot of people know about that. Honors the Japanese cherry blossoms, and then there's us. So, the Memorial Day folks, we helped them work their parade on Memorial Day. And when we told them that we were given annual national status with the parade route being extended all the way to the White House this year, they were amazed. They said, it took us 10 years to get the full parade route of full after action reports. So, after our first parade was over, we met with the mayor's task force people, and they said they were fully supportive. They said, you have a clean after action report. We can report no incidents, no problems, and hope to see you next year. And we're going to let you be the 4th national parade along with the Park Service. Of course, they were part of this decision too. But yeah, we're excited about that. That's good.
And by the way, I mean, this, and I don't want to get people, I don't want to name people and get them in trouble or us in trouble, but there were people at the very top of the Pentagon very favorably impressed with this. The Pentagon, it's a love-hate thing. The Pentagon hates me, but then again, they love me sometimes. So some of the senior folks at the Pentagon at the OSD, at the SecDef level actually were informed and had a very favorable opinion about the parade, which is good. It's always good to have people, at the Pentagon at the senior level happy with this. Yeah. This is something that really added to and benefited DOD and the image the Pentagon wants to put forward, right? I mean, this is all good.
Well, they know they're all going to be veterans someday too, and when they are, exactly. Have a parade, and there'll be a national recognition on an annual basis, and that was our goal.
I think they want that. Yes.
Yeah. So I guess one of the things that I want to see happen is a greater acknowledgement by the Pentagon. I mean, the Pentagon participated. Don't get me wrong. I'm not bad-mouthing the Pentagon. The Army showed up. The Army did the Flights and Drum Corps. By the way, Fran, as you know, the Army, the guys over there loved this. I mean, they felt this was an amazing and appropriate use of their time and resources. But I'd like to see more of the services show up because, Army, I'm Army guy. I'm happy my service showed up.
Sure.
Coaches showed up. Everybody had a little participation, but I'd like to see a little bit more of some of the other things. Did we have Space Command show up or not? I don't remember.
No, the Space Force did not. No. But I'll tell you what, the people at Fort McNair that are in charge of all of the service bands, orchestras, choirs, all music, special event performances come out of one department out of Fort McNair.
Yeah.
And that gentleman, Scott, has been a great asset. He was there at our first parade. He wanted to see for himself whether we knew what we were doing before he committed. But he said, informally, they've all discussed that they want this to be their national parade, where they all show up. Now, we know that we'll have the Coast Guard band, the Army band, Air Force, Sea Cadets, some representatives of the Navy. Eventually, if not this year, our goal, and the Marines commit late, and they want to be the first ones in. At any rate, we anticipate that this is their national parade, where all of the service bands in the Washington district will take place in March.
So, I mean, did you think about maybe for the Marines, like having complimentary boxes of small crayons? Because they like that. They love crayons.
We will be celebrating this parade on the 10th, which also is the Marines' birthday. Last year, if you remember, it was April that we got the final stamp on our permit, April of 2023, for a parade that was only going to be, 7 months later.
Yeah.
We'll you with a cake with candles on it, and maybe they'll be them all out.
But I'm back on Space Command, not to befuddle. I mean, I still think they ought to do something like beam down or like have the shuttle land in the middle of the parade. Wouldn't it be cool? Have the
We
shuttle
need them
kind
more,
of
yeah.
just kind of glide in and land in the middle of the parade. And, you know,
We have one group, veterans group, Star Fura. They encourage minority kids to study science and to go into the service, but to be future astronauts.
that's cool. That is cool. That is legitimately cool. Yeah.
We have a lot of great, and here's our goal. We raise money to produce the parade. I mean, they gave us a permit, but we have to pay for everything. And
I know it's
it
expensive.
costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to do this.
Yeah.
Eventually, when we get to the point where we're paying for the parade and whatever's left over, these veteran service organizations, whether it's Mission 22 or Pets for Vets, the Buffalo Soldiers, their charities, we want to be able to contribute to them and not only give them the exposure of the parade so people see that they're out there, but also to be able to help contribute to keep them going. And so that's why we created a nonprofit. So, everything's tax deductible. And we encourage those that want to help veterans and not sure where to have it go, but to also produce the parade. So, after January 6th, our insurance underwriters have told us that now it's a $10 million minimum policy that it takes just to put on any event in Washington, D.C. So it's been a struggle to do, but we pulled it off the first year, which was the hardest year because no one, but now we're doing it. We know how to take care of some of these details.
So Diane, you were saying it was on the 10th, right? The 10th of November? Is this the date?
Sunday, November 10th.
Yeah, the day before Veterans Day. And we wanted to have it. We want to have it on Sunday for a lot of reasons. One of them is it's a great day for Washington, D.C. for the tourists are in. The other one is we really don't want to compete with a lot of these great regional Veterans Day parades, so that take place on Veterans Day. And we don't want to limit their participation by people coming to our parade to participate. So
that just came up here because I was asked, are you going to be participating in our local parade? It's like, it's on Veterans Day and I'll be back and available for that. So absolutely. Yeah. So I get that completely. So
we find that's important. Plus we don't have to pay for all the parking meters on Constitution Avenue on Sunday.
Well, you could do what they did in Animal House and just cut them down and take them, Who would miss them, right? As a matter of fact, I think the good citizens of DC are probably pretty happy about it. Just saying.
Well, until about Tuesday or Wednesday,
That's good. So, Diane, so what else is going to happen now? So you talked about, you got the permits, you got the date all done. You've got the basic framework. You're going to have this great band show up. What's next? What can we do, or what can the American public do to help you all get ready for this now?
Thank you for asking. Biggest things, high school marching bands. And we are in such a great location in Washington, D.C. for a parade from Pennsylvania to South Carolina. It's a half of a day trip, maybe a little bit over a half of a day trip. So they can get there Saturday morning. It's affordable. You see our nation's capital. You can perform on the mall. And I think we're going to be having that videotape this year. Stephen Brown's on our staff, on our board, and he's phenomenal. And then Saturday night, stay in DC or Arlington. And then Sunday you perform and your parade's done, wrapped up before 3:00, and you can be heading home.
Yeah.
So that's my part of building the parade, is getting the high school marching bands there, the performers. And we have so many great, talented high school students, marching bands that I believe need showcased at our nation's capital.
Yeah.
We had it was unbelievable what we put together with our volunteers. We had Elaine Hackett, who just showed up. I had
Elaine's wonderful. I've been friends with her for years. Yes.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
And then two good friends that I've worked closely with events for the past 5-6 years, who came from Texas, and that was Mercedes. And we just had a really great, even though there were only 6 of us, we pulled that off. And of course, you and Angie were our first 2 people that we asked to, be our presenter and be our grand marshal. You trusted us. We made it work. And now we're building a second parade.
Yeah.
We the biggest thing is sharing our information. So many people after the parade and, said, how I didn't hear about this. Why didn't I
Right.
know about this?
Yeah.
And just sharing the information and saying, if you know anyone that wants to perform, marching bands, military units, firefighters nationwide that are also veterans, this parade is for veterans. We want them marching in it. We want to honor them and show them that we're so thankful for them.
And so I think that's the thing. We all should jump in and participate in some form. I mean, obviously, some of us are more involved than others, but I think this is an opportunity for a lot of organizations and people to show gratitude to those who have worked hard to the two things the Constitution says that the government should do is common defense and common good. And veterans have been involved in both. The common defense, the idea that the United States is a republic, and I'll be very, very clear on that, we are a republic, has sustained headwinds from foreign threats. And look, we had a civil war we came through, and I mentioned Lawrence Joshua Chamberlain earlier, and the reconciliation that was necessary for the nation to heal. That healing is something I think has happened. We as a military, and you mentioned it, we all, I bleed green because I'm Army, but we all, I think, once we join, become an extension of that service we serve in. That, if you're blue, well, I guess you bleed blue. I mean, by the way, speaking of blue, if you wear blue polyester like in the Air Force, I hear that polyester gets in your skin and actually makes your blood turn blue. Just saying. So that's why I don't want to join the Air Force. Not that, if you want to wear blue polyester, well, the Coasties do too, but Coasties seem to not have, they have like salt water in their veins because they have to, they're water. They're in the water. They're like Aquaman. They do good things. But I lived. Come on, you guys are on the coast. I'm down here by Elizabeth City. I mean, we love the
We're neighbors.
I mean that completely. I love the coasties. So, but I think that's the thing. We have such a rich tapestry of individuals who have worked so hard to protect our nation, and I think it's so important that now we have the time and space and place to honor the veterans. So, any final thoughts before we go into Chris's next segment here on the show?
Oh, yes.
Well, we've also got support from immigrants that immigrated, especially like for instance, the Vietnamese community that came over in the late 70s, early 80s, and they love this country and they appreciate this country and they've worked hard and been successful in this country, and they want to help and they're going to be volunteers this year. And these are people that just, they don't take it for granted, the contribution that veterans have given us.
Yeah.
And companies that want to let veterans know that they care about them. I mean, one thing about veterans will support businesses that they see support them.
Right. Absolutely.
I think that's important for any companies that want, to get that message out there that that they support.
Well, I know you've approached several, and I've talked. I mean, there's some veteran-owned companies that would do very well participating. Just saying,
Sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So give us a call. Our contact information is on our website. National
Contact
Veteran.
any one of them. Yeah, come through here. Go to the website.
Go to the website's really.
You can send me a note. Come to social media. However they want to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's going to be some great units participating. You saw some of them in the video, like Pulling for Vets. They got this pulling a trailer with 1,000 pounds in it that represents the weight that our veterans carry when they get home. The Mission 22 that recognizes veteran suicides. The Pets for Vets that train pets to award to veterans. It goes on and on. Sea Cadets, a lot of the Desert Storm veterans will be honored.
Yeah.
If you're a Jeep owner, we encourage Jeeps.
Yes.
We know the history of the Jeep starts with the Bantam, and that was produced in Butler, Pennsylvania. And if you are a Jeep owner and you would like to register your Jeep to be in the parade and to also be able to produce transportation for a veteran that would love to be in the parade also, but is not able to walk, please go to that website, nationalveteransparade.org, and you can register your Jeep. It's fun. I've recently met a couple families on the Outer Banks where we live, And I was talking about the parade to them, and they said, we were in that parade. I said, you were? And here they heard on a radio in Virginia an advertisement for the parade last year. And here, just organically, we were talking and we became friends, and they were in the parade with their family, and I didn't even know it. So we do have a Jeep organization that's growing. I think we had about 30 Jeeps in our first parade, but we welcome Jeeps to be in the parade and to offer their services to drive a veteran.
That's
any
great.
veteran that can't walk in March, they can connect with one of the Jeep people, and most of the Jeep people, a lot of them are veterans themselves. But yeah, they want them to ride along with them so they can ride in the parade and they don't have to worry about trying to walk in March. So that's a great opportunity.
And you can be in the parade if you drive it. So that's always fun too.
And by the way, I mean, I rode in your Jeep, right?
You were in our beautiful Gadsden flag Jeep.
Yeah. And this year, Constitution Avenue will be closed all the way to 25th. So we've made arrangements for that area. You know how wide Constitution is. So there'll be both sides of the street that are still closed to traffic till 5 o'clock. So any of those participants will feel free, even if they finish with the parade of probably like 3:30, 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
That they could just park. It's free parking on Constitution to gather and have some camaraderie. So it'll be fun.
Yeah. No, it'll be great. And then I think, again, the riding the Jeep thing was wonderful. And there's something about having that road shut down. You don't have to worry about anything. It's just going and enjoying the parade and having people nicely yelling at you in a good way, you know. I mean, no, I'm serious. I mean, there's all sorts of yelling in DC all the time, right? And it's nice to have a pleasant crowd, yelling at you and saying nice things, right? It's cool.
Yeah, you've taken your share of flack, Tony. So
that's right. And this was good flack. This is good. No, it was wonderful.
Happy flack.
Yeah. So there you go.
Just watch out for the rioters in case Trump wins. Then that's a different story.
Well, let's plan for the best. I think things are going to be fine. And again, the whole idea here is no matter who you are in your life or where you are on the political spectrum, this is an opportunity to thank those who have put their life on the line and sacrificed so much to protect our nation. So that should be the focus for everybody, right?
That's the hard truth.
Yeah, that's the hard truth.
Nothing but the hard truth. But we do have a few minutes left for Tony's Takes.
Oh,
that's going to be fun. So we have Tony's Takes, and that's, of course, powered by Sig Sauer. Never settle.
Never settle.
Tony's Takes. Let's start with this one.
All right.
With calls for Joe Biden to run and a big Democrat split as to whether he should stay or go, and if the former who takes his place, basically, but how do you think Joe Biden running or not running could affect the Democrats' downvotes across the country? All this controversy and everything else like that. Because we're not just talking about the presidential ticket, but a lot of the congressional votes are could probably get hurt, Tony.
So I think you said the answer in the question, Chris. I think the next debate they're going to have him do splits on stage, like a cheerleader.
That's right. I can do this.
That'll demonstrate. He'll be like a jester. He's going to do the splits and do the thing where he bounces back up and going all the way down. He'll be like a rapper. I'm sure. I am positive the Democrat Party are going to be fully happy with his splitting and coming back up. I'm convinced that it was just a bad debate, right, Chris? It was just a bad debate.
It was a bad day, and he had a cold. And don't make fun of his stutter. There you go.
Did you notice that the cold was good by the next day? That's interesting.
Not only that, have you heard his stutter that he was supposed to have 4 years ago?
I did not. Did you? I missed it. Can you tell me the stutter? I don't know.
There was a big deal. It was the first round of debates. There were problems with Biden. Nobody discussed it because they wanted Trump out. But whenever somebody pointed out, or any conservative commentator or anybody somewhat in the media pointed something out, there was the Democrat activists, the Biden defenders were saying, no, he's had a stutter in his entire career. I'd never heard a stutter. I've seen his old videos. I've never heard a stutter in this guy. He doesn't have one now, especially when he's yelling at us.
Well, did you know that Joe? That I don't know if you caught this last week, Fran and Diane. Did you see that last week? Joe Scarborough said he was going to tell you the truth, and if you couldn't handle the truth, then F you. And,
yes, I did. I've heard replays of it.
And so, I don't know if you knew he took the day off on Monday, after the debate. And did you know that Mika Brzezinski's on Morning Joe? Did you know that? That's an accurate fact, by the way. Just saying.
No,
Mika Brzezinski is on Morning Joe. Just saying. Not that I'm being judgmental here or anything. Just saying. They are married, at least, right?
I do believe they've gotten married. I can never look at her without hearing the story of Trump saying how they tried to crash one of his Christmas parties, and he wouldn't let them in, and then they just turned on him.
So I know. It's no. That happened because everybody loved Trump until he decided to run.
Oh, certainly.
Everybody. So, but that's my point. No, Chris, hold on a second. It's my show. So I get to ask. I get to ask. Who looks more like the Muppet character Beaker? Is it Joe Scarborough or Jake Sullivan?
Oh, tough one.
Scarborough.
I think so. I think Scarborough. True. They're close. They're close.
I don't know.
Can you bring up Beaker, Chris? Is that possible?
Of course.
I know I'm doing an audible here, but it's tough. But I think the folks in the audience needs to understand that there are certain parallels between, I don't know, fiction and their fiction. It's like, oh, there he is. Wow. There's Joe Scarborough. I mean, Beaker. So
I don't know. I think he does look more like Jake Sullivan.
I don't know. It's close. It's close. But I like that.
I think he looks like Jen Psaki. He's got Jen Psaki's hair.
I know. Well, they all, they're all like in the same hot tub. There he is.
So a resemblance is uncanny.
If you put some red hair on Jake, that's pretty close. That's pretty close. Yeah. I don't know. That's a tough call. Do you have Morning Joe? Don't have Mika on Morning Joe.
No.
We can't. This is a PG show. We can't have any of that.
I'm working on that.
None of that stuff on our show.
All right, here he is. Joe Scarborough. Yeah, I guess he could be a Beaker as well.
There he is. Yeah.
That's Beaker.
With glasses. Man.
He looks more like Bunsen Honeydew with hair.
He actually does, I guess. Yeah. Man, oh man. So anyway, I wanted to point out that he was going to give us the effing truth and F y'all if you couldn't effing
if you can't handle it.
Yeah. So
you can't handle the truth.
Yeah. So that was an interesting segment. And then Monday, by Friday, he was the other way. It's like, yeah, never mind. Yeah. So there he is. Yeah. I don't know. It's all close. It's all close. I would not have to be. I don't want to have to go to court and defend my point of view on this stuff. Just saying. So
certainly don't want to do it in New York.
No, I'd be put in jail for comparing Joe Scarborough to Fletcher Honeydew. They'd lock me up, right, Chris?
They might laugh a little bit, but yeah, you're going to be thrown in jail with Steve Bannon. Yeah, you'll be the next Steve Bannon if that's the case.
All right, well, man, that was a quick hour. Where'd it go? Hey, well, Diane Ventura, Fran Ventura. Did you guys ever think about doing like a show, the Venturas, like lifestyles of the Venturas, like the Kardashians only in Nag's Head? I think that'd be a great show.
We live it every day. Sometimes you're a guest on our show.
I know, it's great. I love being a guest. It's fun. Anyway, thank you both for being here. I hope this was productive for you guys. I wanted to have something that we can show people and give people so they will understand the importance of the National Veterans Parade.
We certainly appreciate it. Thank you, Tony and Chris.
Well, and we're going to have you on our other show too this Friday on Wake Up Patriot, which is also a great audience. Of course, that'll be happening. This is actually like a time.
Thanks for landing that plane for me. I was trying to wrap my head around it.
That's right.
Anyway, it always worked out.
That's right. Well, anyway, God bless you both. God bless you, Chris. We'll be back next week with another hard-hitting and very impactful episode of the Hartford Stone Chamber. And until then, stand by. See you again.